So today I'm going to be doing a tier list. I'm going to be ranking every Series 5 card out there right now to give you guys a bit of an idea of what's worth buying, what isn't worth buying. I'm also going to be trying to cover some of the newer cards from this season, previous season, the few upcoming ones. I think this is the first time in this channel I'm going to be giving my opinion on some of these cards, so it's going to be like a make or break kind of moment, I think. Also in this video I'm going to be leaning it more towards new players, though I'll explain in general whether I think the card's good or not, but then probably rate them based on how good they are for new players and archetypes and cards that could probably help define decks sort of thing. So let's get into it. Okay, so starting off here we have Agamotto, and I think Agamotto was decent when it released. Right now I think it clogs your deck a little too much, and I definitely wouldn't recommend it for a new player. It might seem appealing at first, but it has a very strange play method. I think I would probably rank it in the same place for returning players and new players. I do think that it could probably do with a little buff soon. Agent Venom. Now I'm going to put Agent Venom in C, I think. I think Agent Venom is good, and I think for like a ongoing player, I suppose I'll call people that. For an ongoing player, I would say Agent Venom is very good if you have cards like Athena and all the other cards that fit into those kind of decks. It's good. It kind of works with like Iron Man and a few things for like new players, but purely because of the new player stance, I would put it in C. I think you need a few more cards to make a card like this work, so unfortunately it doesn't rank as high as that. Ajax. Ajax sort of suffers from the same thing, but not in the same vein. There are a couple of other toxic cards that you'd need to make Ajax work fully, but Ajax is a deck-defining card, so I think if you did want to go through, maybe I put it in A. I like Ajax, and I should probably have said this whole thing is opinion-based, so please don't roast me too hard. I really like Ajax. I do think it's a defining card. I would put it in A, and I would say only get it if you plan to get other toxic cards or if you have other cards like DiamondBack. Off the top of my head, I can't think of too many. There was like a Wiccan deck that I played using Ajax, DiamondBack. Hazmat did get nerfed recently, so maybe I'll keep it in B for now just to be safe. Alioth has to go in A, as much as I dislike this card at times. It's a good 6-drop. If you're going to get any 6-drop, this is probably one of the higher end ones. That's all that needs to be said, really. Ancient One, I think, exists in the same vein as Agamotto. It's decent. It takes a lot of setup to work though, and especially for a new player, I probably wouldn't recommend getting this. Not more needs to really be said, I don't think. Anti-Venom, same kind of aspect as Ajax. Same deck, it's good in that deck, and works with cards like Luke Cage that exist in those lower end pools. But same with Agent Venom, don't think it's defining, like you don't need it in Ajax. If you're going for Ajax and you want to get the toxic deck, Anti-Venom is probably one of the last cards I would recommend you get that deck. Arana, I think Arana goes here. Arana is in a lot of move decks, and I think is one of the better move cards. Again, because it's an archetype, if you'd like move, I would recommend getting Arana for sure. But if not, then it's kind of, I think this fits within a good category. Ares goes here. Ares doesn't see much play in many decks. Maybe it goes top of D, honestly. It's really good in Sauron, so if you have like the Sauron kind of deck, and I'd probably suggest getting Surta for that. But I think that is actually more new card friendly, the Sauron deck, so I think I would keep it in C. Lower end of C anyway, or actually maybe upper end of C, because you need less cards to make it work than Agent Venom. But this is where I'm like trying to balance whether it's more about the new players or the existing players, because if you're an existing player, this card ranks lower than Agent Venom for sure. But if you're a new player, I think it might rank slightly higher. It's still not great though. Arishem. Arishem for a new player, purely the reason it goes here. It's a strong card, and it's a deck that a lot of people don't like, I know that much. But if you're a new player, it's probably one of the best cards. I think I actually have to put it in S tier. As much as I'm not a big fan of Arishem, and it's not exactly meta-defining, it is a card that gives you access to every other card in the game better than a lot of other ones do. I mean, it fits 12 cards into your deck that a new player won't have seen before, and for that reason alone, I think it has to go in S. Baron Zemo, I used to really like this card. It has fallen off a lot, and to make Mill work, you need things like Misery. I guess like Cable and Yondu exist already, so it is an archetype you could probably go for, so I'll put it in C for that reason. But the card itself, I know it has a really low meta share, so it's probably not one I would recommend right now. Bastion, I think Bastion fits in the same realm as this. It is good in like Victoria hand decks, and maybe a little bit of niche usage in Cerebro. But again, I don't think it's got a high meta share, and as a new player, I wouldn't recommend it. Black Swan, only really seen in bounce. Kind of works, but even in bounce, I don't see it a lot. It's an okay-ish card, but again, for a new player, I wouldn't recommend that. Blink. Let's put Blink here. I know Blink is very strong, it's seeing a lot of play right now, and as a new player, you would probably unlock Electro. I can't quite remember what series Electro is in, but Electro into Blink is an amazing play, especially if you have some other big chunky cards to throw in there. And just as like the meta right now, it's really taking off. Might get nerfed, although I wouldn't put it in the top categories right now for getting a nerf candidate. Bruce Banner. I think Bruce goes here. Bruce, I mean, it's a decent card, I think. You need to have high Evo, and when we get to high Evo, wherever it is in this list, not entirely sure. Off the top of my head, I can't quite spot it. Oh, here it is. Same with Arishem. I'm going to put cards that I genuinely think are very good higher than this, because I want to kind of like balance it a little bit for players that exist in the game. But these two themselves, high Evo is amazing because it takes, I think it's like 6 cards that as a new player you will already have, and kind of just scales them up another level, and it is an entirely different way to play. And for that reason, if you have high Evo, Bruce becomes a bit more like interesting of a card to get. So maybe I'll put it at the top, because I don't think it's amazing. And it also goes into end of turn decks, but I know end of turn decks are very expensive, so we'll circle back around to that one. Bullseye. Bullseye is quite good. I think it's in the same vein as Ajax. I think Ajax maybe goes above it. It does define its decks. You need to have Daken if you're wanting to play the deck that it's best at right now. But then you also need cards like Frigga, etc. So it makes the deck more expensive, which is purely why I'm putting it here. I might rank it higher for an existing player kind of thing. Caiera, sadly, I don't even know, you know. I think Caiera might go here now. I wouldn't recommend it. It is protection against Killmonger and Shang-Chi. In this current meta, Caiera is more necessary because everyone's playing Destroy. But I think once the Destroy season ends, there aren't going to be many people who will want to like play Killmonger, unless they're like sticking to the Destroy decks. So therefore I think Caiera probably sits down here. I don't know what its play rate is. I imagine relatively low. Protects against Shang-Chi, who recently got nerfed as well, making Caiera even less viable. There is a deck that I am going to recommend for new players, and when some of the cards pop up, I'll rate it higher, where Caiera might be valuable, but purely because it's only going to be really this meta where I would recommend playing her in that deck. I don't think it's worth picking her up. Unless she was to receive a buff, in which case I would probably rank her slightly higher. Captain Carter, Silver Surfer pretty much. It's one of those decks that if you have other Silver Surfer cards, I would probably pick it up, but if not, it's not really. I mean, I think actually I'm going to keep it bottom end of B. Purely because as a new player, there's quite a few ongoing cards, I believe, that you can use to make a deck work, and you have Spectrum from memory. Iron Man... Okay, no, I've changed my mind. It's going here, because, again, you need things like Moonstone to make it work, like, fully. Cassandra Nova goes in must-buy. I think Cassandra Nova is an extremely strong card. It does go into toxic decks like Ajax does, although I would probably say it has a lot more use case scenarios than Ajax. I mean, the power of the card, if you play it on like turn 3, is like a 3/12 technically. Although I suppose the opponent won't always play every card they drew. Because if it's a 3/6, it takes 6 points from the opponent's cards, but it's still very good. Obviously weaker if you play it later. It works very well if you duplicate it or send it back to your hand or anything. I do think it's just a genuinely very good card. The first one I've put in S tier that isn't necessarily archetype defining. Cosmic Ghost Rider. Again, a lot of people rate this card very high. I do think it's very good. But as a new player, I don't know if you want to be super heavy tech focused, which is the only reason I haven't put it in S tier. Because getting these tech cards to kind of counter the opponent just means you're playing a game of countering the opponent all the time. I would suggest getting it if you have enough cards in a deck you want to make work already, and this card is a card to, like, disrupt the opponent. Which is why I'm putting it top of A, because I do recognize how strong it is. But purely for that reason, I'll kind of sit it around here. Clea, I really like Clea. I think Clea can work. Like, I've put out a deck recently that has Clea and some other spell casting things. But that deck is very expensive, which is the only reason I'm putting it here. I think in general, I would probably put it in B. I think it's better than people give it credit for. Yeah, as a new player, I wouldn't pick it up. There's just too many cards out there right now that kind of are needed to make this work. Cards I might recommend picking up more than this card as well, because this is more or less like a bit of a theory crafting, few deck specific type card. Colonel America. Probably, again, same vein as these cards. It works in discard. Discard is more... Yeah, discard is more accessible than toxic, I think. Which is why I'll put it here. It's good. It is. It's a card I don't own, actually. Completely missed it. It was in the season I was just trying to get all of the zombie cards. But because there's enough discard cards that exist in lower levels that if you're a person who enjoys playing discard, I would probably, again, pick this up. Copycat. Similar vein to Baron Zemo, I think. Although, maybe I put it here. It's just an all-round decent 3-drop. That as a new player, I think I would recommend getting it. It also steals text from cards in the opponent's deck, which gives it more value for a new player, I think, so you can try out some of the other effects. DiamondBack. Let's put it here. Toxic card again. It's probably not as important as Ajax, although if you have Ajax, this card skyrockets on how high of a must-buy it would be, because those two cards work perfectly together. But I think for now, sitting it around here probably makes the most sense. Doom 2099. I like this card. I really do. It has fallen off quite a bit recently. I think here, it's good at what it does, it really is. I'm trying to think as a new player if you'll have enough to make this card work. Spectrum exists. Spectrum on the last turn with this card is great. But again, if you want to like really make the most of it, you kind of need a lot of the end of turn cards. I think it has to go here, you know, as sad as it is. This card used to dominate, but now it kind of just sits at the bottom. Dormammu. Dormammu is a tricky one. I think I'll put it here. If you're a Destroy player and you like the look of Dormammu, pick it up. If you're a Destroy player, don't pick up Dormammu. Because Dormammu goes into Destroy decks, but like, it goes into the worst versions of Destroy decks. Right now, regular Destroy performs a lot better than Dormammu Destroy. But because it's a unique card, if you do like the look of it, I would still recommend picking it up for that reason. And that's kind of why I sit it at the bottom of decent. Elixir, this goes here. There's like one or two decks that's very good. I say very good, like, because of Adamantium Infusion, this card has seen slightly more play. But Adamantium Infusion is expensive. and Elixir takes a lot of setup and also a lot of higher end cards to make it work, really. So I think I put it here. Maybe I put it slightly higher because it's actually seeing meta relevance right now. Esme. I think Esme sits in the same vein as Ajax and Bullseye. Well, and Colonel America. I'm noticing this section, B cards, they're cards I would recommend getting if you have other cards in the archetype already. Like if you like Mr. Negative decks, Esme is a great card in that. And I think there's only a few other cards in this list I would recommend needing to get for a Mr. Negative deck. Purely for that reason, I think it goes below Arana, because I don't think it's as necessary for Mr. Negative as Arana is for move. But here it is, Gore. Now, Gore is a card... I'm going to put it at the bottom of A. Maybe I put it at the top of B. It is defining for Mr. Negative, 100%. I think in general it's a pretty decent card as well. I've managed to sneak it into bounce decks, because you've got a lot of on reveals, and I've also managed to sneak it into a few zoo decks as well. Not as relevant there, but anything that has a lot of on reveals. And in this current meta, there's a lot of discard and destroy, and that is just pure on reveal. So, top of B. I know I skipped ahead a little bit, but I thought it was relevant because talking about Mr. Negative. Now, Eson, yeah, it's tough. It's seeing more play right now because of the current meta landscape. But in general, I'd probably rate it low C. It's not great, and I think you need a lot of other cards to kind of make it work. You get a lot of the shield cards as a new player, which kind of gives a little bit of relevance, but I think once this meta shifts a little bit away from chamber and stuff, I don't think Eson's going to really see as much play, so I'll keep it at the bottom of C. I think I'm happy with that position. Fallen One. Now, Fallen One has some believers. Fallen One can be good at what it does, but again, not great for a new player. You kind of need a lot of things to make it work. Fenris. I'm going to put Fenris here. You can play a few cards like Moon Knight and Silver Sable, and off the top of my head I can't think if those cards are, like which tier those cards are in, but I guess we'll see shortly. It does work with it in a few decks that I've played, but mostly it's used with, what's the card called? Gladiator. I think if you have Gladiator, it's decent. Fenris Wolf, let's put it here. It has dropped off since it used to be 2 cost, now it's 3 cost. And it was definitely better when it was 2 cost. Firehair goes in the same sort of vein. There's like a few misery decks right now that are pretty good with it. I think I would rank it here regardless of a returning player or a new player. Oh, Frankie Ray Nova. So my last deck probably showed off Frankie being decent. Like, I think it's definitely underrated. People rate it really low. If it was just purely rating it, I would rate it higher. Probably like high. Is high B cope? Maybe, but maybe like around Arana sort of area. But because it's for new players, I'm going to put it in C, because you need cards like Nomura and things to make the deck that I made work. It pains me, but it has to be around here. For the same reasonings I'm giving for other cards, I can't just be biased and rate it higher. Yeah, you need other cards to make it work, unfortunately. So I'll rate it about here. Now, Frigga. Frigga is good. I think Frigga goes into quite a few decks. I think if you pick up Frigga, you can go down into like Victoria Hand, you can go into the Bullseye sort of Daken decks. It has a lot more uses than these other ones, which is why I might just rate it slightly higher. I put it up there for cards to grab if you're wanting to go into those kind of archetypes. Galacta, I'm not sure. I think Galacta is a worse Gwenpool. I'm going to put her here. Maybe I don't. Maybe I'll rate her about here. I think just in a deck in general, she's good and she puts out decent power. So for that reason alone, I'm going to put her just about here. Galactus. I think he's a bit of a bait big bad. He doesn't really see that many like decks these days. He's fun. like, don't get me wrong. And I definitely recommend picking him up if his deck is sort of your vibe. But he's too telegraphed. I guess if you're a new player and you kind of lower down the ranks, he might be slightly better. There are cards you can do to make him work, but I'm just going to rank him here for now. I think this is roughly about where I think he fits. Galactus First Steps. Not a fan of this card so much myself, but I kind of can't deny that it's good at what it does. If you have cards like Quicksilver and Domino, and you're wanting to lean towards Wiccan, I think I'm going to rate Wiccan decently high as a heads up. I don't want to keep getting ahead of myself too much, but there. I'm going to put Wiccan here. Now Wiccan, that's kind of a hot take, but I think purely because Domino and Quicksilver are available to new players, there's a lot of 3-drops. I think Wiccan is deserving of that definitely pickup card. And paired with Galactus, I think you can make most decks work. You put like Domino, Quicksilver, Wiccan, and Galactus into it. Those are kind of like the basis that you need to make a deck work, so I'm going to keep it around here. Now Gilgamesh. I want to like Gilgamesh, and I do recommend it. Maybe I put him here. I do recommend this card if you're wanting to go or like down the zoo route. I just realized I think I put Wiccan in here when it wasn't like on my screen, but yeah, this is where I put Wiccan. If you want to go down the zoo route for Gilgamesh, and there's a lot of like cards, so maybe he fits like more around here. There are a lot of cards for new players that fit the zoo archetype, which makes Gilgamesh good, and then he becomes a massive card. So I think this is where I sit him. Now Goliath. Goliath is better than Captain Carter because it fits in slightly more decks. I think it goes here. It's a great 2-drop, and if you're going for ongoing decks, I would recommend picking him up. Gwenpool. I'm going to put Gwenpool here. It's like a better Galacta. It might take a couple more setup cards, but in general, it's pretty good. Hawkeye, Kate Bishop. I think this card goes here. It's definitely one of my top cards. Just a 2-drop that gives you utility. Even as a new player, I think this card is great. I'd definitely pick it up. Deadpool. This goes here. As a destroy player, even if you're a new player, you kind of have most of the tools you need already. I don't think Deadpool is that necessary. Not as necessary as Moira X. Again, I'm skipping ahead of myself. I think Moira X, same vein as Gore, it's kind of necessary for destroy, and if you're a new player, you kind of have a lot of the destroy cards you need already. Moira X is worth picking up, and I just skipped over Headpool. I think it's technically a worse Deadpool, so I think it's getting cut from a lot of decks right now as well, where people are experimenting with Weapon X. Herbie goes here, I think. I think Herbie is better than people give it credit for. I think I'm actually going to move Bullseye down to, yeah. Herbie is better than people give it credit for. I think it definitely got overshadowed by Mr. Fantastic when he was a 2-drop. Although it's definitely skippable. There isn't necessarily a deck it fits into, but in that case it might make it better for a new player. But it also doesn't help you in the long run when you're trying to like get cards for specific archetypes. Hope Summers. Hope goes here. When Hope released, she broke the game. She was like the best card in the game. She hasn't even been nerfed. I think everything else has just been power crept since. I'd still recommend getting it though if you like kind of like the Kitty Pryde style decks. 100% she's great there. Hulkling goes here. I'd say worse than Eson because its unpredictability. I mean, sometimes it can help you, sometimes it can harm you. But even as a new player, this is like one of the lower end 6-drops I'd recommend picking up purely because it's not predictable. It's just all about RNG. Okay, Human Torch, First Steps. It goes in Surfer, which probably makes it just slightly lower than Captain Carter. It's sort of fell off a bit recently as well. I think DiamondBack goes higher than it. If you like Surfer, get it. If not, kind of leave it. I think that's more or less where it goes. Hydration Robert. I'm going to put him near Galactus. Maybe slightly higher. Yeah, because for a new player, a 1/4 is pretty good. And he can go in Zoo decks, he can go in a few other decks. So I'll keep him around here. He's like, not an amazing pickup, but yeah, I think this is good. Hydra Stomper. Hydra Stomper is better than Arana for move, 100%. And I think if you have a lot of move cards, so very similar to Colonel America here, get Hydra Stomper. Infinity Ultron. Again, I believe Infinity Ultron is better than people give it credit for. Its utility is just slightly too low though, and you need Victoria Hand to make a deck like that fully viable. Or cards like Galacta and Gwenpool. So I'm going to put it just below Headpool. And here we go, Invisible Woman First Steps. She is a great card, but an expensive one. You need a lot of end of turn cards to make this card work. And I think purely for that reason, I'm going to put her similar to Ares. If you have a lot of end of turn cards, definitely get this card. But if not, it's hard to rate her above a C, really. Iron Patriot. Iron Patriot goes in must buy, I think. The playing on location to dominate the location kind of play is very fun. This definitely fits with Galactus as well for the same reason. But it also gives you a card, which again is then like the new player experience of kind of discovering new cards. It is a card that I would rank high by default as well. So I put it there. And Jeff used to like be rated one of the highest cards in the game. I still remember those days. I think it goes here now though, you know. I mean, as sad as it is, it's just a 2/3 that can move, and you can play it wherever, but like Professor X isn't that seen these days. But because it has like more all-around utility than a card like most of the ones in this category, these are cards I would definitely recommend getting if you had their archetype. Jeff is a card I recommend getting if you're not going for an archetype, which I think by default makes it slightly worse. Jim Hammond. I think Jim Hammond is good, but expensive, which leads it to C. I'm recognizing my pattern now. It's like, these are cards I would get whatever, because they're just good for players in general. These are like strong cards if you want to lean towards them. B is strong cards if you have their archetype. C is like decent cards if you have the archetype, or like cards that I don't rate that highly. A D is cards that are too expensive or like don't really see meta play, so they kind of go here. And F is like cards I would not recommend getting, at least not until they have more support. I'm kind of like getting my flow together a little bit. How long are we on here? 31 minutes. This might be a long video. I apologize in advance. Okay, Joaquin Torres. Joaquin Torres, I think, kind of need cards like Zombie Horde for it. Although it also has utility with like Rocket Raccoon and Iceman, Silver Sable. Silver Sable, Series 5? Yeah, I just saw her. Which probably leads me to place him here. He's good if you have a lot of one-cost cards you want to lean towards, so I'll leave him about here for now. Jocasta. Honestly, gonna put her around the same. A good card that you need other activates for to make work, really. But otherwise, I would definitely rate her higher. Kahori. I like this card and I do want to make it work sometimes. I put it in my Clea deck, which is funny that I've kind of put it next to Clea. I think if you have Devil Dinosaur, I'm trying to think of like new player decks off the top of my head, but like Devil Dinosaur sort of decks, it could be viable, but I think you usually run other cards than Kahori, which is why I'm going to put it. Let's give it a little bit of a favor and put it here. I'm going to put Baron Zemo here, so I think that kind of evens it out a little bit. Now Kang. Kang. I want to like Kang. I like that they changed Kang, but they didn't change him enough. He's sort of in the same vein as Emperor Hulkling, which is why maybe I put him here. He gives you, although he does the same thing that Agamotto does and kind of like floods your deck. He's Agamotto plus Hulkling. Yeah, Ken goes here, sadly. Now Khonshu. I think Khonshu is better than Colonel America if you're a discard player. Khonshu is one of my favorite cards in the game, so I'm slightly biased here. But I'm going to put him bottom of the strong cards. If you're a discard player, I would 100% get Khonshu. Kid Omega, the card that sort of like broke the community for a few weeks. Kid Omega goes around Dormammu. Yeah, it's only really played in the decks that like Elixir is kind of played in, but I think it has more utility than Elixir and is in general a better card because you just activate and then play the card to destroy it, and it helps. It goes here, I think, instead. I won't try and cope too hard. Luna Snow. Luna Snow, I'm gonna put her here. I think she's the best ramp card right now. Besides maybe Wiccan. Like I'm kind of second guessing myself here. Yeah, I think I'm okay with this. If you're purely going for ramp, I'd say Luna Snow. But if like you're wanting to play for like the turn 1, 2 Wiccan sort of things. He goes here. I think I can't put her lower, I think she has to go here. I do possibly foresee her getting nerfed in the future, but she got buffed not too long ago. I see her putting her back down to 3-5, so maybe I keep her here. Madam Web? Madam Web, she goes here. Really necessary for move. I'm second guessing my Arana choice. Although it kind of makes sense. If you're a move player, you look through this list and you go Hydra Stomper, then Madam Web. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's Madam Web, then Hydra Stomper. Yeah, she's too good for move. I think if you're playing move, you need activators over cards that get like benefit from it. So I think I'll put it like this. Then Arana sort of makes sense, yeah. Makari. Makari goes here. Again, it's a Surfer card. Like a lower end Surfer card. Or an end of turn card, which, yeah, she goes below both the end of turn and Surfer cards, but like, she's good though, I'll say that. Malekith. Yeah, Malekith kind of has to go here. Malekith is a lot better than people give it credit for, I think. So I put it here. I'm a Malekith enjoyer. Pulling a card from your deck, especially if all the cards in your deck do good things. I play it in a Wiccan deck, which actually I might do a video on soon. It didn't perform as well since they nerfed Hazmat, sadly, but it's definitely... I've completely lost where I even put it now. Yeah, I think this makes sense. Hazmat, Ajax, Malekith, and DiamondBack. Those kind of cards go into a deck, but Malekith for deck thinning, I think puts it at top of C for sure. Man-Spider. Man-Spider can kind of break the meta a little bit. It has for a while. I think it's very good, but it also can get countered by so many things, so I don't know if I would invest tokens into it. You also need cards like Agony, Hulkbuster you should have, but then like Peni Parker, those kind of things. So I think it sits around here, which sort of makes sense. Like, if you have some of those cards and you're willing to invest the tokens, I'd say it goes here. Marvel Boy. Again, I'm a little bit biased to Marvel Boy. This is the card that pairs with Clea that I was on about. But I would put it around the Gore Moira X. Like, these are archetype cards I would 100% go for. Get it with Gilgamesh, and I think by default, a lot of new players should have the deck you'd need. You have things like Squirrel Girl, Bizarre, maybe even Ultron. That is like a perfectly good deck for like a new player. It's not super high meta, so it depends what you're kind of looking for, but I do think it's a kind of an archetype that's under the radar right now, so I'd recommend getting that. Merlin. Okay, so those who've seen my decks, you probably know where I'm putting Merlin, if it even lets me. Merlin is the card I would recommend everybody get. Will it get nerfed? Possibly. I don't know if I see it though, because it's the most... It's not even that high play rate. I don't think it's high win rate, but people don't expect it. It does counter a lot of decks. Like, I don't think junk decks will ever really be the same after Merlin. Not that anyone's really complaining, I suppose. But Merlin is too good of a card. Like, the only thing I see them doing is maybe making it so once in future only gives you 1 energy next turn. But it's kind of like the worst spell, so I'm not sure. Maybe the location change only buffs him by 1. Those are the things I see them doing, which still makes me think that I put him where I'd put him. But yeah, I'm a Merlin super enjoyer, so 100% putting Merlin there. Misery, I think Misery goes in the same sort of vein as these cards. You should have Hood as a new player, which makes Misery good by default, but it needs things like Victoria Hand. I'll put it here, near Captain Carter, slightly higher up because it's more necessary for those kind of decks. Mockingbird, where do we put Mockingbird? Put Mockingbird here. Same with the Gilgamesh deck, but I think by default it's kind of fallen off a little bit recently though. Maybe I keep it here. I still think it's a pretty decent card to have. Moonstone. We keep Moonstone here. It's great for the like Goliath decks, anything with like Captain Carter, but again you start to see it starts to become slightly more expensive because of that. So maybe it goes, I think it goes here, you know. It's very good at what it does, and 100% if you're going for ongoing decks, you get Moonstone. I do think you get Goliath then you get Moonstone. Maybe I'm wrong actually. Maybe you always get Moonstone before you get Goliath. Either way, I think those two probably belong together. Now Morgan Le Fay. Morgan Le Fay got buffed recently, but it still probably goes here, which makes me realize Kid Omega should really go like here instead. I don't think this graphic is updated, but Morgan Le Fay is a 3/4, but I actually can't see because it's so tiny. I'm sorry for mobile viewers. Morgan Le Fay just goes here. She's good at what she does, but what she does isn't good. Yes. I want to enjoy this card. I think you just have to do too much. And you probably need too many cards to make it work as well, sadly. Mr. Fantastic First Steps. This card was once so good. I genuinely think it probably goes here now, you know. Making it a 3 cost really reduced its viability. And it's like the least necessary end of turn card out of all the end of turn cards. Namora, again like Frankie, it goes in that deck that I made recently, which I really love. But I think I have to be real. That deck is expensive, and without a lot more data it's hard to say, so I think Namora has to go next to Frankie, probably above Frankie, probably above Akari. Yeah, I think that's about right. Nico? Nico is my second pick, 100%. I love this card so much, and I 100% recommend getting it. If you're a Destroy player, I recommend getting it even more. But it's just a card that has so much utility. And I mean, I don't really think I need to say too much more about it, honestly. Being able to just turn any low-cost card into a demon is just unreliable. Which means maybe I put it below Hawkeye K Bishop because of that. But they're both unreliable. I mean, all 3 of these cards are unreliable, but they're just strong because all of their effects are really good. So I think I keep these ones here. Nightmare. I think, you know, I put Nightmare like here. It does something that the Sauron decks needed, but it hasn't really pushed it very high, sadly. But yeah, I think it probably belongs here. If you really like the Sauron decks, I would probably say get this, but other than that, it kind of stays where it is. Nocturne. Oh, this is sad, but Nocturne goes in F. Again, another card that dominated purely because of the move, and the location change ability is good. But I don't really see it in any decks, that's the thing. I think kind of the same with Ancient One, but Ancient One has some combo potential, which is why I've left it where it is. Let's speedrun some of these ones. So Peni Parker. Peni Parker goes here. It's a Man Spider card now, purely after Man Spider. Ramped slightly, it kind of goes around here because it does a few things. Prodigy. Prodigy really took off recently, actually. It does what it does very well, which is probably, you know, I'm going to put it next to, no, it's kind of more leaning into end of turn kind of cards as Silver Surfer. So I will keep it, I'll keep it here. Prodigy is good. Proxima Midnight. I saw on Alex's podcast recently, he was surprised this card was even still Series 5, and I kind of am as well. But a little bit of a shocker, it's a card I don't actually own. Is it as necessary as Khonshu? Maybe not. Is it as necessary as Colonel America? It might be, you know, which is why I think it goes here. Again, it's one of those cards, if you love discard, get it. Although, is it likely to go to Series 4 soon? Probably. So for that reason alone, I think I'll put it here. Buy with caution, with expectations that it could drop whenever they decide to do a series drop, unless you kind of want it now. Red Guardian. Red Guardian's play rate dropped off after it kind of got like bounced around in the tech card nerfs. It's very good though. Works perfectly with Merlin if you evolve it. I think that's all that really needs to be said about it. Red Hulk. Red Hulk is the best 6-drop besides Galactus First Steps. And is it better than Gore? I think it's ever so slightly better than Gore, because Gore fits into Mr. Negative, but Red Hulk can be used everywhere. But again, it's not like an archetype defining kind of thing. Red Wing, similar vein to these sort of cards. Red Wing is really good, but it takes a lot of setup, and I think it's kind of expensive as well. Rocket and Groot. Rocket and Groot used to be better than it is now, but it's still pretty decent. I'll put it here. And Sage. Sage again is like a Mr. Negative card, but is it as necessary? Maybe it is. Let's put it just above Herbie, kind of like here. If you're going for Mr. Negative, like kind of the order of cards I've laid out, I think works. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Gore, Sage, then Esme. Captain America. This is Falcon. Oh, Captain America? I forget what the card's called. It goes in strong card, for sure. It enables a lot of archetypes as well. Probably goes like more like here, you know. It's very good at what it does. And it did get nerfed, so I don't foresee it getting nerfed, but it's still good. Spider Clone Boy. Forget what his name is. Scarlet Spider. Scarlet Spider is sadly like the 12th card in its deck, I think, which puts it like this sort of area. Scorn. Scorn is a card I didn't remember when I was talking about discard cards. Scorn is as necessary for discard as Gore is, but not as necessary as Khonshu. Maybe that's a hot take. I'll keep it around here, because it's definitely more important than Colonel America. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Scream. Scream is criminally underrated. Scream was like amazing last season because it was a move season, but it still wasn't even really seen, which surprised me. But I would definitely put it here, just at the end of strong cards. It works with cards like Stegron and Polaris, which new players will already have automatically, so I put it there. Cersei. I love this card, I really do. It's just extremely unreliable. This is gonna pain me. Because of my personal bias, I'm kind of putting it this high. But I do think it's really good. Like cards like White Tiger or like Squirrel Girl or Hood or Sentry. I don't remember how easily accessible Sentry is to new players, but all of those cards work great with Cersei. And that deck that I have that was climbing me to Legend every season hasn't seen play anywhere, but everybody who watched that video gave me great feedback, which I think Cersei is a sleeper, you know. I'm gonna keep her here. Merlin carries that deck, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that at all, but Cersei, if you want to play that deck, Cersei's great, and it kind of has Mysterio and Bishop. Cards that aren't really too expensive. I think there's something like Sasquatch is a bit more expensive, but it's easily replaceable with other things. Silver Sable. Silver Sable is about as necessary for bounce and its other archetypes as Proxima Midnight is for discard, so I think that makes sense. Sparky. Sparky is a move card, 100%. It's not going to be as great now Human Torch has got like nerfed into the ground. I think it goes just above Arana though, for that reason. Speed. Speed is just a good card, especially for new players. It kind of ends up being like a 3-7 on average most games without much downside. And if I'm pushing Wiccan as hard as I am, speed goes into those decks, but it isn't necessary for those decks. But it can also go into like Silver Surfer and a few other kind of archetypes. It goes into ongoing. For saying it's like a relatively basic, simple card, I recommend it 100%. Then we have Starbrand. Starbrand is a weird one. It goes into Sauron decks pretty much exclusively, which is kind of why I have to put it in this sort of category here. Is it good at what it does? Yes. Is it necessary? I don't think so. Stardust, it is a tech card. It's a very niche tech card, but when it's played, it just shuts down a lot of things the opponent wants to do. I put it in the similar sort of vein as Jocasta for that reason. Strange Supreme. Now this card used to be very good on its release. I don't even think it got nerfed. It kind of just got pushed to the side. You need Cosmo or armor to kind of protect it, and you need Thanos. But as a new player, you get Thanos for free after playing like 28 days, I think it is. You kind of need Thanos for this card. But seeing as Thanos is free, if you're brand new to the game, I think it pushes it higher. Probably here. Yeah, Prodigy needs more cards. Goliath can kind of work with what you have, so I think this is a good like borderline. Spider-Man Supreme or whatever it's called. This card works with something like Angela, so maybe it's okay for new players. I think it sits just below these cards. It's good, it's a very good ramp card. Don't get me wrong, it does what Luna Snow does. I think I'm talking myself into rating this high, you know. It does what Luna Snow does without the downside for your opponent. It's just that you need to have the card, which isn't difficult, really. So for that reason alone, I'll put it here. Let's move this down a bit. Surge. Surge goes here. Surge is amazing for ramping cards out, and again, it's another card in my Cersei deck. Do I rate it higher than Evolutionary and Arishem? I think purely for the reasons that they're not meta dominant, I'm going to put them here. Because they're cards I recommend new players getting, but if you're looking at this from like an ongoing player, don't necessarily think I'd rate them as high. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are technically my top 7. And then these two are just like side cards. Surtur. Surtur is necessary for Sauron. Surtur used to break the game. This card used to, well, on its season release, it was kind of insane. So I think I put it here. If you're going for Sauron, definitely get Surtur. And I rate it higher than the other cards that are put into Surtur, into Sauron even, which are like Nightmare. Definitely better than Nightmare, and definitely better than Starbrand. I think it's necessary for those decks, so I'll put it there. Symbiote Spider-Man. Oh, this card pains me. I really want to like this card a lot, but I think it goes here, just below Dormammu. Or maybe it goes here. It's kind of necessary for Galactus, but also Galactus becomes really obvious if you do that. It works with Black Panther Arnim Zola decks. Maybe for that reason I keep it here, because it's like a bit more new player friendly. Thanos. Thanos is Series 5. Well, if you're a player that isn't brand new but doesn't own Thanos, I think Thanos goes in the same region here, but maybe just below. It's I don't know, you know. It's decent, but it's not saying any meta play. It might when Aurora comes out, which is a completely different topic, but for now, I think I'll leave it there. Athena. Athena is necessary for the Kitty Pryde decks about as much as Madam Web is necessary for Move, which is quite necessary. Maybe I put her here. I think Madam Web is kind of being a bit shunned by the fact that Cersei's there, so we'll keep it like this. Thing First Steps. I wanted to like this card. It kind of just doesn't fit into the deck it needs to fit into, so I'll put it here. Toxin. Toxin, I think, is... How easily accessible is Bounce? I think Bounce is a relatively inexpensive deck, so we'll keep Toxin here. It's the best Bounce card, I think. You've got Beast and Falcon, but I think Toxin does those things better. Maybe Beast is better. Not enough of a Bounce and Joy to really make too hard of a claim. Then we have Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. He goes here, sadly. Maybe he's decent in some decks, but I don't really foresee him getting used. Yeah, this guy, let's put him here. US Agent. Used to be better, probably wouldn't even consider putting him in a toxic deck these days. Let's keep him just here. Sort of that sort of vein. Victoria Hand. Now, Victoria Hand is very meta dominant right now. But for that reason, I kind of foresee her getting nerfed, you know. So she goes here. necessary if you want to play the Misery style deck with Demon, but also very useful in shield decks, very good with Frigga, those sort of things. And for that reason, maybe I put it just above Frigga, but I do possibly see her getting nerfed. Viv Vision, again, it's a Surfer card. It was a Season Pass card and has really like fallen off. I think it goes about where Human Torch First Steps does. War Machine. War Machine is now a 5/9. I am a big hater of this card, I won't lie. It's a card that's always going to get hate, and it's a card that's probably always going to get nerfed if some crazy deck comes along. So for that case, I don't recommend investing in this too heavily. Warlock. Now Warlock is like a high Evo card in a way. Where do I rate Warlock though? Probably here. It's sad because Warlock was a pretty good looking card when it released, and it's not really done what people wanted it to do. If you have high Evo and this card gets buffed, then maybe get it, but I think that's sort of why I listed around here. White Widow. White Widow. White Widow isn't really in any archetypes these days. It's a bit of a weird one. For that reason, I'm going to put it here. Again, another card that used to dominate because it clogged a location, but now with Merlin, it's even less viable. So I will keep it here. Zorn. Zorn is almost always the 13th or 14th or 15th card in a move deck. So am I seeing it get meta play? I don't really think so. I'll sit it here just behind Kahori. Ezekiel Sims, a new card, a move card. But again, probably sits around here. You can get it to high numbers. It might not have had the... Let's sit it here. Because I don't think it's had as much experimentation as it needed. Because it could probably get something done that is being seen right now. And we're getting towards the new cards here. So, Zombie Captain Marvel. Zombie Captain Marvel sits here. What does it? I think it is another card that just needs more experimentation. I think it could be good. But again, it's nowhere near as viable in the Destroy deck as Headpool is though, and I think putting it below Agent Venom makes a little more sense. Zombie Galacta. Now this card is a deck-defining card. There's some people out there that really, really push this card. I think it's a 7/5 now, so this graphic is slightly outdated. In which case, I think like it goes just below Scorn. If it's a card, like a deck archetype that seems appealing to you, go for it. But as like a general sense, if nothing appeals to you, for example, I would probably get Arishem, High Evolutionary, Thanos, then Zombie Galacta, which is sort of why I rate them like this. I still recommend getting Gwenpool, Red Guardian, and Red Hawk before Zombie Galacta though. Maybe it's like that. So it's just Red Guardian and Gwenpool. Yeah, that seems more reasonable. Now these cards are going to be kind of hard to rate because you need all the zombie stuff to make them work. And for that reason alone, I think they sort of fit here. Like Zombie Mr. Fantastic and Zombie Scarlet Witch, these are pretty good cards. They just need all of the zombie cards to make them work, which I think this is better than Captain Carter if you have the full deck. Yeah, I think this is probably where I would sit them. Now Weapon X, we're really getting into the recent cards. These cards haven't had as much experimentation, so it might be kind of hard for me to be as critical with them. I think Weapon X is more necessary than Headpool. Is Weapon X as good for Destroy as Sparky is for Move? Probably, you know. I think it goes here. That seems to make the most sense to me. Adamantium Infusion. Another card that hasn't really had enough experimentation. And it is quite an expensive card, however. So I think I put it here, mainly because new players are going to not easily as be able to play this. I guess you have cards like Nimrod, you have all the Destroy cards. Is it viable? You kind of have Death, maybe. I think I put it above like all of the middling meh sort of cards, so I'll put it here. I think I was mainly trying to avoid shuffling the list down. Now, let me just clear up the other cards that have released already. Spider-Punk. Spider-Punk, I don't know. It's kind of one of those cards that... Does Move need it? Does Surfer need it? I don't know, Surfer has way too many cards that try and fit into its deck. And does Toxic need it? Kind of not really. I don't really know where this card fits, and I don't know if it's going to see play after its meta ends. So maybe I put it here? No, it kind of has to go lower, doesn't it? It has to go below all the other Surfer cards. I think I put it here. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh towards it. And we have Spider-Man Noir, which is again from last season. Odd that it's not going to have really any experimentation, purely because it released not great, then got buffed, so not many people own it. I think now it's pretty good though. And you're going to have Brood, you're going to have Mr. Sinister, you're going to have Iron Man, Squirrel Girl. I think there's enough from this card to make the deck work as a new player, so maybe I sit it here. It's also a very interesting one, and one I still have yet to pick up, so I think I'd probably rank it about there. Next we have Chamber. Now, Chamber has done really well. Possible nerf candidate though, honestly. It fits into that Nick Fury deck with a bunch of big chonky cards, so I think if you have a lot of the cards that fit into the Chamber deck, definitely get it. It's not as meta, it's not like archetype defining as any of those cards necessarily, so maybe I sit it here. But still, nevertheless, a very good card. And Weapon H. Okay, so we're getting on to the cards from this season now. I did a Weapon H video recently, and I think consensus from everyone seems to be relatively the same. The 13th card in the discard deck. I don't think it ever replaces Apocalypse. But I do possibly think that it could be lower end of decent, because if you really like discard, I would get it, but I wouldn't get it before something like Scorn or Khonshu. Is there anything else discard related here? Bullseye? Maybe I put it above Bullseye. Maybe around here. Okay, scrolling down we have Aurora, Phantom X, and Maverick. Now, I think Maverick is going to fit into Surfer really well. Now, before... This is a really, I'm really throwing myself in the deep end here. I'm rating a card against every single other tier 5 card before it's released. Maverick. I think Maverick is going to do the same thing for Surfer that Hydra Stomper does for Move. I'm actually going to be quite bold about it and put it here. You Galacta buff it, then you play it and activate it and play like a Brood or something. It's kind of nuts. I'm going to do the crazy thing. I'm going to put it here. I genuinely think it's going to be a very good card. Possibly the best one of the season. And that's kind of a hot take. Maybe it's a hot take. We'll have to wait and see. Aurora? I'm really looking forward to Aurora. If you have Thanos, Aurora is going to be great. Aurora will also probably revive Doom 2099 slightly. But to make a deck work, you're going to need a lot of random different cards. Now, if I was ranking the card based on how I felt it was going to perform, it would probably be around Prodigy level. But because it's quite expensive, I'm going to put it here. I think that's probably... I'm about to call myself out. I was going to say I think I've said the word probably a lot this video, but I used the word to describe that fact. A lot of fence sitting. I shouldn't be like that. Phantom X is going crashed here. Maybe it's not. There's a few cards you could do to make it work, but it fits into the Morgan Le Fay archetype. Phantom X technically is what is it, a 6/12 when it works? A 4/12, sorry, when it works. Let's put it in the same vein as Misery. I think that's probably more or less where it fits. And after that, we now have the entire list done. So let's take a closer look. So, zooming into the cards now so we can have a proper look at them. I think these two top lists, 100% if you're a new player, pick them up. I think the two that kind of stand out as maybes not to are Khonshu and Scream, purely because if you're not a big fan of those archetypes, maybe don't like pick them up. Blink could fit there, maybe Sam Wilson Captain America, but the top ones 100%. The decent cards, now I more or less ranked this category off of cards that I would say pick them up if you have that archetype. I believe Red Guardian is a little bit too low here. Let's put Red Guardian here. Looking back at it, that's one of the changes I would make. Maybe not too many more. B is definitely along the lines of if you enjoy those archetypes and you're missing the card, more or less an order that I would recommend getting them for that archetype. I think that sort of fits here. Aurora could probably go up a little bit, I think. We'll have to just wait and see how she performs. Kind of hard to say, but I might place her like around here. Then we have mediocre cards, which in the grand scheme of things, some of these aren't mediocre, let's be real, but like cards like Malekith and Zombie Scarlet Witch, Misery, I wouldn't say they're mediocre necessarily, but they are slightly more expensive for their archetypes and not as necessary. Let's have a look. I think I'm relatively happy with this ranking. Maybe bring Infinity Ultron down to like here, and could do with bumping Invisible Woman up, but it's all reliant on whether you have the cards for the deck. Maybe she goes like here or something like this, above Human Torch first steps. Bad cards, I feel kind of bad having put Doom here, and I think I'm going to eat my words when Aurora releases. I don't think Doom is that bad, honestly. Let's pop him here. The rest of these are cards probably not worth picking up. I kind of stand by most of them. It's like one or two, like maybe Agamotto could technically get away with it, but we'll see. And for these four, I know some people rate Caiera higher, but she just doesn't see meta play. If you're worried, the one use case I would say, pick up Caiera if you love playing Zoo and just scared about Destroy. That's when she becomes a must buy. Honestly, I don't think it's fair to rank her at the bottom of this list, of this exists list, so we'll kind of keep it here like this. And I think other than that, I'm quite happy with where I've ranked everything. I'm anticipating comments of people telling me I'm wrong, etc. But we will see. We'll see how everyone's opinions kind of shape up. But for now, if you did like the video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. Honestly, it means the world to me. I know I've said this in like the past few videos, but I kind of just like have an outpouring of seeing these views and subs and stuff go up, and it really does warm my heart. It makes doing this like worth it, and I do love doing it as well. It's something I'd love to continue doing, and hopefully people like my opinion, because we'll see. I guess if you did, drop us a like. If you didn't, feel free to drop a dislike. And yeah, I guess that's about everything. And I will speak to you all next time.